Good afternoon, folks. How you doing? This is William in William's backyard, kinda. Doesn't this look like my backyard? Not exactly, does it? A little warm out there in the middle of the day. If y'all want to go sit out there in that South Texas sun about what time is it? 12:30 or something like that in the afternoon. Y'all go right ahead. I'll save a chair for you. How's that sound? Okay. Listen, today I want to talk to you about our convoluted universe. And that's what Dolores called her series of books on the universe, is the convoluted universe. And she had a total of 5 books within that series, and they are just incredibly interesting and intriguing, and they will absolutely do things to your mind. They will expand your mind. They will teach you things you did not even know were possible, but they are. The first thing she talks about in this series is back when the Earth was first populated with humanoids, not Homo sapiens, but species of humanoids that weren't particularly bright, to be honest. They just really weren't. And at some point in our development, it was decided by whoever does the deciding for that kind of stuff that a race was given permission from one of the planets in the universe somewhere to come to Earth and to give Earth more knowledge and abilities than what we had at that time. So this race, which was a race of light beings, and a light being is pure energy. That's it. That's it. Just pure energy. They can assume pretty much any form that they want to. Uh, but we're not talking about the bad things here. We're talking just being able to assume the form of a human so that they would not scare humanity when they first arrived here. Well, when they got here, they were looking around at what the population looked at, what they could and couldn't do at that point, and they, excuse me, I'm going to adjust my screen a little bit there. They decided that rather than to give humanity all of this wonderful, wonderful knowledge and then leave humanity alone, they decided to just keep that knowledge and stay here for a while, and they enslaved humanity. It's probably the first time in our history, but certainly not the last. Uh, and they did do some beneficial things for us. They did give us the little bit of information about how to plant and when to plant and how to build and how to make these big huge block stone buildings and whatnot. Over that part of it came from them and part of it came from the next group that'll come that I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. But they did do a little bit, but basically they just enslaved humanity. And what happened then is because they became bad people or bad beings, they lost their abilities to do all these wonderful things themselves, and they were no longer able to leave the earth. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't anymore. So it was a tremendously bad period of time in Earth history. And at least 10,000 years of that, and there were many wars and killing and whatnot. And finally, after about 10,000 years, it was decided to send a second group down to see if they could rescue humanity and what was left of that other group that didn't and couldn't leave. And these beings, unlike the first group, did not look like humans, and they couldn't look like humans. This is a group of people who had several arms and leg appendages coming off of their body, and that's probably where the Indian folklore of that particular template, not template, but what a temple god that the Indians have, and I don't mean American Indians, I mean the Indian Indians. Put that there, yeah. But anyway, what they could do though is they were able to go into animals and get close to humans that way. And so they were able to go into, say, cats and dogs and whatever the humanity had for animals that slept close to them, because they tried to implant this knowledge while the humans were sleeping or meditating, if they were meditating, or just whenever the mind was calm. And the biggest problem with this is they were only able to give a few people this knowledge, and not all of humanity. They were only able to give it to a few people. And those people then became treated as gods. And that, you can see the same old thing going down here. But then humanity revolted after a while. They got to the point they didn't want to continue to be bringing coffee and tea to this other, to this guy just because he said he wanted some. So they revolted and they killed all these so-called gods. And the problem they ran into next was that because they killed all the gods, humanity at that time did not know how to run the equipment that the gods were using for all these wonderful, wonderful inventions that humanity was seeing. So they took another headstrong dive back down into idiocy, if you may, and they didn't do very well. The other thing that occurred at about this time was another series of earth changes where there were several hurricanes, floods, biblical type floods, tornadoes, volcanoes, all those types of things. And many, 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 many people passed at that time. And that brings back to me the modern day world we live in, and this is where I'm going to join it for you, because today we are living in a world of earth changes happening. In the current world today, we have an increase in storms, an increase in severity of storms. We're looking at a pole shift here anytime from let's say 1 o'clock out to whenever, but sometime fairly soon. There's predictions running around. Nostradamus, through his work with Dolores, predicted 2027, and late in the year in 2027. I've heard other predictions, 2029, 2030. So I would say those earth changes are going to be happening more and more frequently and stronger. And then when the earth, the poles do shift, it will be very sudden, and it will be a catastrophe in Earth's continuing sequence of catastrophes. Going along with that, you'd also have the upcoming shift of humanity going from third dimension to fifth dimension. So if you look back to what our world was like before time, for all intents and purposes, which time does not exist, but you knew that anyway, didn't you? You knew time doesn't. You know that, right? Right? You do know that we are the only only people in the universe that manage to take something that doesn't exist and calculate how to use it. Anyway, so uh, back in the day that I'm talking about, which was in the first, I have no way of telling you how many hundreds of thousands of years may have passed, or millions of years may have passed between then and now, but it was a lot. It was a very, very long time on Earth's years. But we're dealing with basically the same thing right now. Now, this brings up to me Dr. Stephen Greer and his knowledge of extraterrestrials, his knowledge of, what does he call it? Well, we're discovery, as good a way as putting it as any. But the extraterrestrials have already given us several wonderful, wonderful things. Some of them not intentionally, because some of their aircraft have crashed, like in Roswell in 50 something. And once the Black Hats, which is who they eventually turned into, who captured that, the CIA, the spooks, and the intelligence community and whatnot, were able to back engineer that craft. They were actually able to also back engineer the propellant device, which is an anti-gravity device. So we've had anti-gravity here on Earth since 1954. Go ask Mr. Greer, Dr. Greer, he'll tell you. He'll tell you right up front, 1954, we've had it. Where is it? It's in the black programs being used not to our advantage. We could have free transportation in this world today, not next week, today. We could have it today, but we don't, because a very small group of very rich and very well-to-do people have control of all of these things and all of this energy that we're getting from the extraterrestrials. And there's a lot more that they want to give us, but they can't give us because we have a propensity. You like that word? A propensity. And we have a problem. We want to always use it for bad instead of good. Can you imagine how much good anti-gravity could have done for this planet? Think about it. You wouldn't have to pay for gas in your car. You wouldn't be stuck in your car on the freeways and beltways. How about that? Y'all like that here in Houston? We got toll roads that you can get stuck in on the traffic here. Isn't that a wonderful thing? You get to pay for sitting in your car, not going anywhere. Wonderful idea, people. But we wouldn't have to, because we do have, you got anti-gravity, don't you? In your city? Don't you have it? I mean, we got it here. We must have. Maybe I haven't seen it yet, but we must have it. It's here, but it's here on Earth, and that's no joke. So anyway, the extraterrestrials can't afford to give us any more technology right now because we don't use it the right way. And until we can make humanity shift of third to fifth dimension, they won't be able to give it to us because it will still get used in a bad way, just like atomic power. They don't want us to have atomic power. If I understand it correctly, very few, if any, and I don't think any, but it's very few if they do exist, worlds in the universe use atomic power for anything, because it's so much of a pollutant and it's so dangerous, and it can potentially and has done so much damage to the fabric of the universe. And that's one of the reasons that I think the extraterrestrials will not allow us to blow ourselves completely up and out of the world with atomic power and bombs and rockets and whatnot, because it would seriously damage the fabric of the universe, and they would stop it, I think, uh, and not let that happen, but not for our own benefit. They would stop it because of the damage that it would do to the rest of the universe. So anyway, we're about running out of 15-minute timelines here. So I'm going to let y'all go, and I'll see you on the next one, and we'll talk a little bit more about this kind of stuff, and try to get y'all a little more educated and being able to say them bigger words and whatnot. All right, you guys take care. This is William out, brother. Be gone. Be good. Bye-bye.